is the first time. We had a team of good specialist people, nurses and doctors and whoever was needed. We went on the field, assessed the situation, got a team of volunteers in place, and then we went out into the villages to help these people, to give them psychological support, to provide them with the three essential ingredients that we identified that they needed as a prescription was food, water, and shelter. And more than that, they needed the psychological support that they could survive this phase. But obviously the second earthquake hit there, even further devastated the situation. And we were also focusing on the schools, because kids had lost their schools, and there was a bit of a panic in the situation there. So in order so that they don't become vulnerable, because those kids were being preyed, so we worked through local organizations over there who were also liaising with us to be able to get them a shelter. And also we worked with another organization called Little Sisters Fund, and they helped the orphans and those kids who were orphaned because many of them had died. And the idea was to help them, to provide as much as we can.
And what kind of response did you get from the people out there?
Beautiful, absolutely hospitable people, loving people, simple people, the poorest of the poor. You may go to their homes and they would feed you their own food. They will not have their own, even if they feed themselves. And it was absolutely hospitable, and they appreciated the work that we did, and gave us a really, really warm welcome. And that's what made me go there again the second time, you see. And then hopefully I'm again going to visit there in November. So it could have been anywhere, but since this happened, and then when I went over there, it's a beautiful place. And when I looked at the devastation, when we used to go on air to get to the inaccessible areas, we would see from the horizon a helicopter, and we would say, right, wherever the vision was, we could see the villages, and we could see the beauty of it. The moment we focused on the villages, we could see destruction. All of the houses had been destroyed, and we were just wondering how did they manage the social implications and the ramification of what had happened to them. It would all dawn on to us and make us feel that we want to do something for them, and in the two visits, and that's what we focused on.
And what are the main challenges that are facing you out there, or what were the main challenges that faced you out there?
The very first one was the moment we entered the airport, and we had a supply of about 2,000 kilograms of medicine freely donated, and even the plane allowed us to put the supplies in. And there were people at the airport who wanted us to pay duty for it. They wouldn't allow that in. That was the very first challenge that we had to circumvent, that if we have left our families, we've come to an area where we are at risk ourselves, but why won't you let us put the medicine in? So we had to forego that bureaucratic challenge to begin with. And then the challenge of getting to the inaccessible areas. There were helicopters just stood over there on the airport, and we were just wondering why they stood there, why they're not all on the air and helping those people out, because the devastation and the scale of it was so massive. So we had to literally go to the army, go to other different organizations to get a helicopter, but the only outcome was we literally had to charter them ourselves. So that was a challenge in itself, to get to the inaccessible areas, and then to identify the needs of the people, to be with them. And we sometimes, some of the trekking that we did for 4 hours getting to a village was in itself a risky, one slip and down we go into the mountains. So we were literally trekking in the mountains to get to the area, the accessibility of it. And then, but despite all of that, the beauty of what we were doing was more satisfying than anything that we had to face.
And for the most part, you were constructing homes for people out there.
Yes. Now, the second visit, the focus was because if they have a home, they would have their livelihood reestablished, they would have the life go back in the focus. So we as a team could target in the limited period of time that we had, what can we do the best. So at the moment, the second visit was to target to get them homes. Yes, because everything else kind of fell in place along. And also schools, and also setting up medical camps to be able to address the diseases that came in as an epidemic following on, and also the devastation in itself caused the survivors to have different injuries, and now they were going through the rehabilitative phase to be part of that rehabilitation.
And what happens next?
Well, we continue the process, and from our side, we would like to raise funds. If there are any people who would be interested to be able to help on a voluntary basis, that would be great. I'm linked in with a foundation called the GRM Foundation, but I am representing that foundation from UK. So if you can contact me, and my email address is Khalid Ali Nawaz at yahoo.co.uk. If you'd like to help, be part of it. I will be continuously going to those areas to be able to do medical camps, to be able to help those children, to be able to address the women's need of the children, and to be part of the local community to be able to help them recover.